Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know there is an ever so slight trigger warning on this. In this interview, we do kind of delve into a little bit more heavy topics. We talk about things like anxiety and depression. I'll put up a little warning before we really get into it. It's not super deep and super triggering, but I want to put this warning out for you guys just in case. Welcome back, guys. Hello. This is episode 4 of Experience Gained with our new guest, Gigi. For those of you guys who don't know Gigi, please tell us about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Gigi. I've been working, I guess, for Com2us for like 3 years now. I stream on the side. You can find me on Gigiana. That's the only channel I have.
Links below, as
Yeah,
always.
links below. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy to have you here. I've known you for a long time, even before you started actually working Com2us. I remember you used to hang out with us on all the streams and everything. So it's really cool to see your journey, especially as unique as it is compared to everybody else that I've brought on so far and other people that I'm hoping to bring on for the future. But just a quick shout out, guys, if you do like the series, make sure to check out all the episodes below. We have one with Childish, we have one with Archer, and the most recent one was with Sean B. If you want to check it out, you can get some insight on how we felt through our process of potential burnout and et cetera, et cetera. But this is your episode. This one's about you. So I guess the first thing I want to know is, as always, I always ask everyone, how did you get into Summoner's War? But I do have a little twist for that after you give some insight into that.
Oh, okay. So I got into Summoner's War because, I'll start off with I never played any mobile games before. Summoner's War was literally my first mobile game ever. Wow. And the only reason I started playing it was because I was trying to get something for free on another app. And obviously I didn't want to pay for it. So they're like, hey, download this game, do the tutorial, you'll get your thing for free. And I was like, sure. So I downloaded the game, started a tutorial. And I forgot all about that other app. Summoner's War just had me hooked. It was the first mobile game I'd ever played.
Wow. Just hooked, just like that. It was just over.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know what it was. Was it the summoning? I just forgot all about that other app.
Com2us with the hook, line, and sinker, I guess.
Yeah.
Impressive, though. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's nice. I feel like people kind of rag on those advertisements and they're like, oh, who cares about downloading another game for crystals? You're like, that actually works on a lot of people. A lot of people.
It does. It really does. I think it was when I first opened the app, and because I thought it was gonna be another Candy Crush type of game, like a Farmville or something. But no, the graphics were nice. The story, it started off with the story, it tells you about the 100-Year War and all that stuff. So I think that could have been what got me hooked into it. That was a different thing from what they usually do in those advertisements. But yeah, I liked it. They do work.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Actually, since you mentioned that 100-Year War and stuff like that, a little side topic question that I wanted to ask is, I feel like you are somebody who enjoys the lore and the story and kind of the development of a world, right? As someone who's really interested in Magic, I feel like that is a big factor for the engagement of a game. Do you feel like Summoner's War lacks that?
Yes, for a long time I thought they did. I wanted to know more, why was there a 100-Year War happening? Who are these characters? Why do I have to listen to Duran? Why is he telling me to do things that I don't want to do necessarily, why was all that happening? So when the short film came out 2 years ago now, wow, it's 2 years. I was really excited because they kind of started going further into the story, and I guess with all of the stuff that they said they wanted to do, I'm pretty excited to see if they're actually going to expand more on the lore, because that's what I'm looking forward to. That's one of the reasons I love Magic the Gathering too, is because the lore just is so it goes so deep. There's so much to it, and I hope that Summoner's War also expands into doing that, because I think there's a lot more to the game than just the game itself. I feel like they could do a lot with the characters, so many monsters that they have. So I'm looking forward for them to do that.
Yeah, and even for me as well, Summoner's War is one of those unique franchises that I enjoy without the requirement of such a heavy lore base. Most other games that I play, I lose interest because they don't have any lore. There's no attachment to the characters, right? You don't get the stories. When I played Epic 7, I loved it because I loved the stories about the characters, how they interacted, how they progressed through their journeys and their life, etc. Those are things that I really enjoyed, right? We have other games like MMOs have tons of lore in a lot of them, like Guild Wars, if you played Final Fantasy 14, or if you played WoW or anything like that. Like all those games have so
Yeah.
much inbuilt lore that allows you the option to learn about those things. And I feel like Summoner's War just doesn't have that, right? Like we have this expansive universe that's never been expanded upon. We have all these characters with these really basic tidbits of information, but we don't know anything about them. And I think
Yeah.
maybe it's a little difficult because of the elements and, you know, trying to create like a unique story for each character. But I
Mhm.
would really like, I really hope for if and when the Com2us Summoner's War MMORPG comes out, that it expands upon that, right? It gives us that opportunity to really explore the world of Summoner's
I
War, and
agree.
less so just Summoner's War Sky Arena, the mobile game.
I agree. I totally 100% agree with that. I want to see them really explore stories of Summoner's War and how this whole world came to be.
Mm-hmm. So that
Yeah.
little off-topic side question that I wanted to ask started with, how did you get into Summoner's War? I did mention earlier that you used to hang out on all of our streams and stuff before you started working at Com2us. Did you watch Twitch before Summoner's War? Did you watch Twitch because of Summoner's War? What kind of led you into that?
Everything happens because of Summoner's War. Because I didn't know anything about Twitch. I had no idea that people are actually streaming games and people would watch them. Like for me, that was a thought that like would have never crossed my mind. Like people actually watch you play games. Like what is that? But then one of my like super old guildmates was like, "Hey, did you guys know that Com2us actually streams on Fridays and you get free stuff?" And that was like around the time when they were giving Devilmons on Fridays. So of course everybody wanted to watch that. So we all went on Fridays every Friday to try to get either crystals or Devilmons or whatever it was. And that's how I started, you know, getting into the Summoners War community, getting to know people, trying to find other streamers. But yeah, it all happened because of Summoners War. I had no idea that Twitch was a thing prior to that.
So how many days do you have on your account? Like, are you like day one, week one, early, like super early, or like what kind of range did you start the game in?
For as in like what's on my profile right now, like the days that I've been playing? I'm at 2,100 days, I think.
So what
I
was your
think I'm at
first
like 21.
HOH?
My first HOH, oh my god. I don't remember. I
I'm gonna
started
check
in
because I actually don't
August.
know. I don't know what my first day was, but I do remember my first HOH
It was
was
in August
Talasha.
of 2015. That's when I started.
I think that was the one right before I did.
Oh
My
my gosh, you started on the same time?
So my profile has 2,076 days because I started in June, but I quit
Okay.
after 2 days and actually started playing around like September, October, I think.
Oh.
Maybe like
Okay.
November, December. I can't remember. I remember my first HOH was Talasha, the Dark Undyne, and it took me the whole weekend to get one.
God, HOH was so hard back in the
I kind of miss it
day.
though. I miss old HOH
Yeah.
being able to just like farm really hard because I remember when Cobalt Bombers came around. I think or no, the pumpkins came around. I farmed like 37 of them.
Yeah, I miss those HOH too. Like this format is cool because it's easier for a lot of people, but I remember when we actually had to grind for it. It's like if you don't make it, sorry, you're not gonna get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we used to go so hard. It was like, all right, guys,
Mhm.
HOH weekend. No more farming runes. We're doing HOH all weekend.
Yep.
All
Yep. And
weekend.
getting all of the skill ups in like one day or one weekend or whatever it was.
Yeah. We're like, all right, I want to build this unit, this unit, this unit. We're building the whole family. We're farming the whole HOH out.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, those were good times. Those were good times.
The
So
struggle was real though.
yeah, it was. Oh man, it was hard too. B3 was
Mm.
hard. Like
Yeah.
B3 was as hard as, I want to say it back in the day, unless you were like an end game player, B3 felt as hard as like TOA Hell feels now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That
I
was,
agree with that.
yeah, most people just farmed B2 because they were like, this is too hard.
Dude, people have it so easy these days. Like all these new players, like they don't understand what we had to go through back in the day.
But it's good though, because like even
Yeah.
even with all those changes, like I feel like if they had to go through what we went through, they just wouldn't play the game.
Yeah, probably. I
It's
mean,
like,
we stuck around, but they've made the game so much better since.
yeah, like why would you play a game that's like extremely difficult and not that fun to get into? I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? Like as games progress, they have to kind of give more and more and more over
Yeah,
time.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's kind of just, it is what it is. One of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you mentioned Com2us doing streams where they gave away Devilmon and stuff like that. I was never around for the Devilmon days. I do remember a lot of crystals and a lot of scrolls being given out, but I never remember a Devilmon.
Yeah,
Um,
they had to stop that after a
yeah,
while.
I can imagine. I can imagine. They're like, we're giving out too much to these people. They know too much. But
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Fast forward a couple years, like, or even just like I kind of want to understand that period. Like,
Hmm.
at what point did you decide, hey, I kind of want to work for Com2us, or like I, I guess tell me about that story because I'm always
It,
wondering about like industry stuff, right? So like whether it's like becoming a CM or like starting to get into
mhm.
voice acting or working as an events person, like all those things. Like I'm curious about what your journey is to get there, how you got there, and why you wanted to go there.
So I it kind of just happened because I just said to myself one day, like, why not try to work for the company of the game that's basically consuming my entire life, because that's all I do. I play Summer's War day and night. So why not try to work for them? I found out that the office was in LA. I applied and I got the job 4 months later. It was a completely different field from what I was, because I was more in the entertainment side. Like, I was working for the Screen Actors Guild, and prior to that, I was working for a company that was a bit of a middleman with like major studios. So I went into a completely different field, but I wanted like a different like scene. And I was like, why not try to get into maybe gaming? Like, I'm playing this game so much. Why not try to work for it? They happened to have a job posting that had my skill set, that needed my skill set, and I got lucky. And 4 months later, I got the job, and that's how I kind of ended up in the gaming industry, because I was not really a gamer before. And even to this day, it's hard for me to say like I'm a gamer, even though like I'm playing different games. But I just didn't grow up with like the whole thing of like, I'm doing all of these mobile games and console games or anything like that. Like, that's all just beginning for me. So it was very cool to be part of a new world, a new industry. And obviously the people I work with are just awesome. Like, this is probably like one of the best jobs I've had in terms of coworkers, because everyone is so nice. It's like a family. So I've really enjoyed my entire journey that I've had with Com2us so far. And that's kind of how it happened. It was just me trying to find something new, because I didn't want to work where I was working anymore. And I just are you okay?
Sorry. I muted my mic on the recording side so it
Oh, it's
wouldn't influence anything. But yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
okay. And yeah, that's how it happened. And I started streaming like 3 months too before I started working at Com2us, and I was hoping to continue streaming after I started at working at Com2us, but that clearly didn't happen because I was away for a very long time. And I even during that time I didn't even play the game. I just had no time at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's been a fun journey so far.
Yeah, it's crazy busy. Like being someone who has seen like the work that you put in and what you do, like I am thoroughly impressed that you do it all. Like you do that, you play the game, you stream, you have time for magic, like even to have just the mental capacity to do all of those things kind of at the same time is just it's mind-boggling to me. Like there's a lot. Like learning a TCG is a lot of work as well.
Yeah.
But
Yes, it is.
yeah, there were two things that you brought up that I kind of wanted to touch on. One of them is completely off topic, but you mentioned like you find it hard to call yourself like a gamer because you didn't grow up in playing games. I've noticed lately in the community, not necessarily in Summer's War, but in esports community in general, I've noticed a lot of like people gatekeeping that concept. They're like, "Oh, you didn't grow up playing games, like you're not a gamer." And it's actually like pretty common to see in the Pokemon community where people are like, "Oh, you didn't collect for a long period of time, like you're not a real Pokemon lover." It's like,
Yeah.
don't gatekeep people's things because that's how you like
Yeah.
kill your own hobby, right? If nobody's interested in your hobby becomes irrelevant, it becomes useless. Like
Right.
just don't gatekeep people for things. It's as simple as that, right? But the
That's
other thing
true.
I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about, you were saying like, you applied 4 months
Mhm.
later, you got the job, you started streaming like in that in between period. What did you kind of do to like prepare yourself for that? Like, I know you have the skill set for like the events management and related content, but like, did you do anything special? Was there anything different? Like, did you create any reels? Did you, you know, do any
I
like extra
remember
work or anything like that?
the only real preparation that I did was how to stream with someone else, because I remember in one of my first interviews I actually had to do like a mock stream with somebody in the office. and I had never like done streaming professionally or anything like that before other than my streams. And like when you're streaming on your own, it's kind of like you do whatever you want. You don't have to, watch what you say. Like one of the things I'm always afraid to do in official stuff is like, one of these days I'm gonna throw an F-bomb and it's gonna be bad. I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So-
you're welcome to use whatever language you feels appropriate for this. It's not a huge deal if you drop an F-bomb here or there. Sean dropped a few. It's like whatever. It doesn't matter that much.
That's good because that's one of my biggest worries, especially like on the first time that I had to go into the office and I had to do like the mock stream. I'm like, crap, I hope that I don't get too excited and I just start saying things that I probably shouldn't be saying. But that was fine. And then the other thing was just looking or trying to learn more about the gaming industry in general. Like, what are the popular games? What's up and coming? What's the current trends? Because it also like expanded into like marketing and all that other stuff that I wanted to also learn how to do. Because my background is mainly in like marketing and events, and I was now trying to go into marketing and events into another company and another industry that I had never really worked in before. So it was just more preparation on like learning the industry altogether.
Okay, so knowing all of that, what would you say, like, if you had to pick 3 pieces of advice, or even just two solid pieces of advice for anyone who's interested in getting into the industry, whether it's events management or like hosting and stuff, if you had to give them 2 pieces of advice and they have like no idea, they're like, this is really cool to me, I have no idea how to get into it, what would you give them?
If they're trying to get into like gaming industry in general, just like events, because I would give different advice for all of them.
So I pick the one that you feel like you have the best, like the strongest advice for.
It would probably have to be an events. If you want to get into like event management, producing, planning, it's basically just start putting yourself out there, because there's a lot of things on the internet where you can be an intern, you can help out a lot of well, clearly not right now because like events are not happening.
Yeah.
But when they do start happening, if you want to get into events, start like be an intern and trying to be an assistant, even if it's free. Like the experience that you get is invaluable. Like experience counts when it comes to events. You want to have that experience and knowing how to plan events, because it actually goes more than just like, hey, we're going to plan this fun event and here's the itinerary. It goes like so much more. You have to be so detail oriented, like learn your craft when it comes to doing events, and be very detail oriented and network a lot. Is you don't know how handy that's going to come later on in the future, like knowing people in the industry and all the different fields that go with just events, because there's a lot. It's like an umbrella basically. So that would be my advice, is like really just dive into the water and start planning events with other people, read up on it, go to events, go to expositions, all of that stuff.
Yeah, expose yourself to it, gain that experience through being someone who actually goes to the event, right? Like as an event planner and host, you have to understand like, what will the viewer see? What will the participant feel like? And how do I want to influence that experience?
Exactly.
You bring up the topic about like interning for free and stuff, and I think a lot of people have become sensitive to that topic. But when it comes to an industry like this, I think it's actually really important to get a good reference like that. You work for somebody for free and you do a good job, they will remember that. They will always remember that. And that is the connection that you build that gets you into the future. So even though right now, like we have COVID, kind of limiting events and everything, guys, if this is something that interests you, obviously you can reach out to either of us on our channels, probably more Gigi, because she knows a lot more about it. But I think there's nothing wrong with looking into it now and kind of preparing yourself for the future. Because if you wait until everything's cleared up, nothing will be available. Everything will have been taken, because anybody who was ambitious enough and anybody who was driven enough to kind of push for their hopes and dreams has already taken every spot.
I agree completely with that. And even when I was starting out, I had to do a lot of work that like was not necessarily paid, but it paid off in the end, because when I had more of the experience and I did end up needing like side jobs or anything like that, those people actually, like I had the connections with them and I ended up doing jobs with them and I actually ended up getting paid. But for the beginning, it's kind of hard to find. And I'll tell you guys right now, because it's so, what is the word? It's like, it's so full of event planners in the industry that it's so hard to like for you to get a business going on your own. So you're gonna have to do a lot of, smaller things in the beginning, and you're gonna have to do events that are not necessarily paid, unfortunately, but you eventually grow into it. And that experience that you gain is gonna be so valuable for you later on in the future.
Mhm. So that brings up one more question that I have. That's actually really
Yeah.
important. Um, a lot of people will hear us talk about, having to work for free and like doing those free internships, but a lot
Mhm.
of people won't understand or be able to discern doing work for free and being taken advantage of. Right. So do you have any
Yeah.
kind of like tips or red flags for that kind of stuff?
Definitely if like you go in there and they start promising you things, because I also went through this when like you go in there and they're like, oh, in the beginning it's gonna be for free. It's just for experience, it's for your portfolio, whatever. But I promise you, within 3 months, you're gonna start getting paid. Guys, if that does not happen on the 3-month mark, you have to leave. Like literally, you have to make sure that whatever agreements you make with whoever you're going to intern for, whoever you're going to work for, if those agreements aren't being done, or like they're treating you bad, or like they think that because you're working for free, they think they can treat you however they want, that's when you have to take a stand. Like you can't just let them, treat you like crap simply because you're working for free, because that's not how it should be. You still deserve respect as an employee, as a person who's trying to gain experience. Obviously, the deals that you make, whether it's on paper, whether it's verbal, you have to make sure that they go through. Otherwise, you have to leave. And it, like I said, if you're working for free, like you're not really losing much other than probably experience. You have to like stand for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. I went through my fair share of like ups and downs and doing internships. But trust me, like you're eventually gonna get out of that. It's only, and even when like you're starting events, it's only in the beginning. It's You're not gonna be there for like years and years doing free work. It's not like that. It's literally just to get a few things on your portfolio. Once you have your portfolio ready, you can start applying to companies that are actually gonna pay you, because there's a lot of when there's a lot of events happening, there's going to be a lot of event planners who are looking for assistant planners, who are looking for designers, who are looking for a lot of different things. So you're going to be able to apply and get a job. Like, just no, like my word of advice is don't try to start a business in event planning unless you have the connections you need, because it's not going to go anywhere, because there's too many companies out there trying to do the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense.
And that's my advice.
I guess with the whole contract thing, it's always important, guys. Read the contract.
Yes,
Please read the
yes.
contract before you sign
The
it.
fine print.
Make sure if there are things you don't understand, you go and reach out to resources where they can help you understand those things. There are a lot of people who get trapped into really bad contracts because they just
Oh
don't
my
know,
god.
especially
Yes.
like housing leases. It can be some of
Yeah.
the worst ones that people get into because they're like, oh, this isn't so predatory. Like, I don't have to worry. It's not like I'm signing my life away. It's like, yeah, sometimes you actually are signing your life away.
Right? Oh my god, you don't know how many times I like, this was before Com2us, but, like, so many times I had to literally tell my clients, "Hey, you're not gonna read the contract?" Like, they were just like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, here, I'm gonna sign it." And I'm like, "No, I'm not
Mhm.
gonna let you sign a
Yeah, I
contract
know,
until
right?
you read it." And it astounds me, like, how many people actually go into signing contracts without reading anything. They're like, "Oh, I trust you." And it's like, "No, I don't care if you trust me. You need to read this. You need
Hmm.
to read this and sign it."
Yeah. No, it's crazy. There's just so much to that whole world. I
Yeah.
had a really good question, and I asked you, and I said something about the contracts, and I just completely forgot what I was about to
Oh,
say. But it was,
no.
oh, I'll think of it. I'll think of it as we
Okay, okay.
go. But yeah. So we talked about how you wanted to get into working for Com2us. Talked
Mhm.
about how that story unfolded, that 4 month period that I was a little curious about. Um, I guess to kind of continue on with that a little bit, I wanted to ask, what was the most difficult event for you to plan and work with? And if you're comfortable going into it, why? If
Mhm.
you're not comfortable going into it, that's also fine. I'm curious of what it was, and then maybe like just a couple small details about it.
Um, hmm. I'm gonna have to say it was probably the meetup that we had in Brazil. And the reason being is because I wasn't gonna be there physically to plan it. So planning an event in a different country is always a huge feat, because it's like, okay, I'm not gonna be there to see the venue myself. I have to basically trust 100% the people who I'm choosing to pick these things for me. And obviously, a lot of things look a lot different in person than they do in pictures. So I was always like very scared of something going terribly wrong and like, okay, the pictures or the venue is actually smaller than what the picture showed, or and obviously the language barrier because I don't know Portuguese very well enough to handle business transactions with a vendor. So for me, that was probably the most challenging event that I had because it was in a different country altogether. And even though we had one in Canada, like I was able to go there, and then there were people there that I trusted that helped me find a really good venue. But Brazil, I had never been in my life before, and it was just crazy at the time, but we pulled it off, and it ended up being a really, really good event. But for me,
That's
I
good.
think that was the most challenging event that I've ever done.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a lot of levels of difficulty. Not being
Yeah.
there, language barrier. Like it starts to stack up, and the stress builds really fast. So I get that.
Hmm.
Okay, what about the event that you felt was the most memorable to you, and why?
Oh my God. Probably the Orlando meetup because it was a culmination of every single event that we had worked on. And even to this day, I still get emotional. Like I'm getting goosebumps, a little emotional just talking about it. But just the tour of America is altogether was such a memorable experience for me. Just meeting so many people and seeing how much genuine joy this game brought to people. Because I know, like, we tend to get exposed mainly to all the negative aspects of it, like, oh my God, why can't they buff this? Why can't I get good runes? Why can't I get a nat 5? Why can't they do this? Because I mean, I even go through that as a player. I complain a lot too. So when you see in these moments at these meetups that, wow, this game is bringing people together, it's building new friendships, it's doing a lot of things in people's lives, you get emotional at the end of the meetup in December in Orlando. I just thought to myself, like, wow, this is why I do what I do. Like, this is what makes it all worth it. And like I said, it was just a culmination of everything that just went right into that Orlando meetup, and it's something that I'll never forget, like everything that we went through, and with the staff, with the players, with everyone that came along. And yeah, that's that was really my most memorable and probably the best event that I've ever had.
That's good. I
Mm.
didn't get the chance to go to that. I was actually in South
Mhm.
Carolina at the time. I wanted to, but it didn't quite make sense with everything that was going on. But
Hopefully we have more in the future and you can come along this time.
I'd like to. I'd like to. I've been to a couple events. I've had a couple good times. Even though I
Yeah.
wasn't there with you guys for New York, I did manage to get some time to hang out with you
I
guys. So that was
remember,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I was working the E7 booth for New York Comic Con in 2019. That was a
Mhm.
lot of fun, and I actually had a little bit of free time to come, swing by the event, drop by some stickers for you guys, see that J Mac got a Han, and then had to dip out and run back to my event and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's nice. It kind of gave me that little bit of experience with like event hosting and planning and stuff, and
Mhm.
it was also tough because of the language barrier, right? Like the people that I was working with, one of them spoke fluent English and the other one spoke fluent Korean, and it was like, okay, this is really interesting and actually really cool to kind of work with the two of them
Mhm.
and kind of understand and figure out everything. But yeah, like that whole concept of like event management and like working into that is super interesting. I think if I ever wanted to get into industry and less so focused on streaming, I would
Mhm.
probably work towards hosting, not quite event management, but I would love to work towards hosting, to kind of like be an events host or like a stage host and stuff like that.
I can see you
Otherwise,
doing that. You
probably
definitely have
voice
a
acting.
personality for it, and then based on how you plan your streams, I can definitely see you being an exceptional event host.
I like it's like you say, I like interacting with people, right? Like working with you, like working with Evan and Arturo and anybody, just having that opportunity to kind of like see a project be built from the bottom up and also be able to know that you were a pretty significant contributing factor to it is it's very humbling to me, and I really really enjoy seeing that because I know that when we do it, it's really good for the community and they really enjoy it and they appreciate the work that we put into it, right? you know
Agreed. Agreed.
like every event is always thoroughly appreciated. Every event is always it's always a really good time, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's so rewarding to see an event like you were saying, built from the ground up and then finally happen. It's a very rewarding feeling at the end of the day.
Hmm.
It's awesome. I can definitely see you doing that. So if you ever like don't want to stream, you should definitely go into that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I definitely will. I've actually been talking to a couple of friends lately about for the last year or so, like right I think a couple months up until before COVID kind of kicked off. So like anywhere between 2019, I guess right after New York, up
Mhm.
until I'd say about March of 2020, I was really looking into like what it takes to get into like hosting, like event hosting. I have a friend who works pretty closely with Funimation. Her name is Jackie Jing. She does a lot
Nice.
of like anime related hosting stuff, and I was kind of like learning a lot about that kind of world, um, what it's like to get into hosting, what it's like to be an event host, and
Yeah.
it piqued my curiosity so hard and so quickly, and I just like I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to like create like a reel to like work on stuff, and I just COVID hit and I got stuck in the States. You know,
Oh, oh man,
um,
that's the worst. Yeah.
and then now like
Everyone's
I'm looking
plans just went
into
to crap.
everything's just like man, I was planning on going to TwitchCon EU, which was going to be in May, and I was planning a 1 month trip. So what I was going to do is I was going to go to TwitchCon. I was going to stay there
Hmm.
for a week and a half, and then I was going to fly out to Belgium for a couple days to stay with some friends, and then I was going to go to Germany and stay in Berlin, and then go meet up with
Oh,
all the Com2us people in Berlin, right? Like
yeah.
Mards and Chinny and stuff. That would have been tons of fun to just get the chance to meet them, and then COVID, no
Oh my
TwitchCon
God.
EU, no traveling. Okay,
I hope you get to go. The Berlin staff is very nice. I love them all, and Berlin is just a beautiful city.
I
I
know.
I still
I
think
want to
of
go
that
so
city
bad.
to this day. I'm
I
like,
want to go so
if
bad.
I could live anywhere, I'd probably live there.
It would be a beautiful place to live for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
Berlin has
it was
slowly become
gorgeous.
such a culture focused capital. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
it is. Definitely go when you have the chance. I highly recommend it.
Yep. Maybe that's where the next SWC will be.
Mm.
Maybe I'll go there. It'll be great.
Let's all go to EU.
Yeah, I'd be down. I mean, you guys went to Paris the 1 year, so why not? Paris, Korea,
I
and
didn't get to go.
oh no,
I
oh
know.
no.
And I was so sad I didn't get to go to that one because like Paris is on my bucket list, like one of my dream cities to go because like I love the Eiffel Tower. And
Mm.
I was so bummed. I was like, yep, not going. Okay, I'm not gonna look at anything right now that has to do with SWC because I'm a little salty.
You're just like gotta power through this. Gotta power through this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mentioned COVID kind of ruining everyone's plans, our plans,
Mhm.
literally everybody's plans.
Yeah.
Um, so that kind of leads me into my third question, and my third kind of overall question that I want to ask is, what has COVID done to like affect your job? Right, your job is very based on events hosting, which for the most part is in person. I know that we've done a lot of adjustments to do online meetups and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
that definitely takes a toll on the mental state. It definitely takes a toll on like your ability to cope and change the way you do things. So I guess what I'm looking for is what kind of serious impacts has it made on your position, your job in the industry, and what are your best practices for coping on that? Because I think a lot of people want to hear what other people do to cope for things that they're
Yeah.
struggling with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, funny story, right before COVID hit, and it was around this time last year, I was actually in Seattle venue scouting for TOA because we were getting ready to go full out. We already had all of the cities planned, everything. And as COVID was starting to break out, I was in Seattle and I remember hearing like, oh, there's a few cases here and there, but I wasn't too scared. I mean, when I had my hand sanitizer, I started wearing a mask, but I wasn't too scared. I'm like, okay, maybe it's gonna be fine. But literally, I came back and it was like, oh, we have the first, what was it, the first death or something from COVID. And that's when we knew, oh, this is gonna be really bad. But a month later, we had to cancel everything. And we've been working from home ever since March of last year, and it has taken a toll on me and like mentally because I'm somebody that likes to go out. I don't like to be inside the house a lot. So not being able to go out has definitely taken a toll on me. In the beginning, it was fine because it was like, oh, I'm getting finally a vacation. I get to stay home. But no, after a few months, it's kind of all right. I need to do something. I need to go out. I miss my friends. I miss my family. And I think one of the ways for me that helped me cope was starting to stream again because it gave me that ability to interact with more people than just like my friends from Florida that through Zoom or like my mom or my roommates whatever. But it gave me that kind of like ability to reach out in other parts of the world and it made me feel better because I think um even if you're an introvert, because I'm an introvert, I like my own space. Um, as much as I say that, I also think that like humans in general need other people, and it's very important to
Yeah.
have human contact. So definitely, in a way, Twitch, streaming on Twitch has helped me cope through that. And in terms of work, I had to get creative. I was like, okay, we can't do live events. I'm gonna have to turn it into online events and see how that goes. And for the foreseeable future, we're gonna have to do it that way until we can safely travel again. And it's wonderful to hear the reactions of some people saying like, hey, these online meetups have helped me because I've been going through stuff, and the meetup has been one of like the best parts of my day because I get to interact with other people. And I think through COVID times, it's very, very important, especially for those people who have to quarantine alone. Like they don't have anyone in their house, they don't get to talk to many people. I think having a space where we can bring people together and have them talk is very important because it also has helped me, like I said. So I'm now at that point though where I'm ready to just like I need to leave the house. I need to leave the house. But yeah, hopefully things get better and we can travel again soon and I can start doing other activities. But for right now, I think the most important thing to cope or to help me cope and maybe it helps other people cope is just having constant interaction, even if it's online with other people, and like really indulging in things that you like to do. Like I've also been I think I froze. Okay.
You're good.
Anyway,
You're
sorry.
good. Sorry, I looked down because I
Another,
wasn't sure if that was my phone.
other things that I've started to do is like playing new games that I like or like trying to do new hobbies. I started to get back into music. So just in all of this like spare time that I now have, because even though I'm working a lot, there's other times throughout the day when I'm not working, and I have to find things to fill in those spots. So keeping myself busy or keeping yourself busy, I think, is also advice that I would give to people if they're trying to cope with quarantine. Stay busy, do things that you like, find things that you may like.
Yeah, no idle hands. No idle hands. Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know there is an ever so slight trigger warning on this. In this interview, we do kind of delve into a little bit more heavy topics. We talk about things like anxiety and depression.
Yeah, no
It's
idle
the
hands, because then you get stuck with your thoughts. And like, okay, I go through stuff because I okay, I guess I'll say it, but like I suffer from depression and anxiety. So like one of the things that I cannot do is like be alone with my thoughts when I'm going through certain things mentally, because it will get you down. You start to listen to all the negativity in your head, and that's when you kind of start falling into an episode. So it's very, very important that you keep yourself motivated in doing things and activities and finding new things that you may like.
hmm Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot that goes into it, and it becomes this really really rough spiral. It definitely
Yeah.
does, and it's different for everybody. Everybody deals with it differently. Everybody experiences it differently. There's no one
Yeah.
size fits all for like coping
Hmm.
mechanisms or what you're going through, etc. So I do agree
Yeah.
though. Keeping yourself busy is important. Anytime I get
Hmm.
bored, I'm just sitting here like I have to do something right now because I am going
Yeah.
to lose my mind. Right, whether that's
Yeah.
reorganizing. I mean, and I guess actually that's one of the really nice things with getting into Pokemon card breaks is because when I reach that point where I'm just like I actually am going to lose my mind if I don't do something right now, I'll just sort the bulk. I'll just sort all the bulk, sort it
Yeah.
all into different types, sort it all into the different card numbers. It just gives me something to do. Like I'm somebody who like I do stream full time, right? I stream every single day.
Mhm.
So like stream is work for me, so I do like to kind of like force myself to take a break and like not stream certain
Of
hours or like
course.
not stream. So sometimes I'll sit in calls with friends or I'll pop into a stream and just like leave it on while I'm doing something. So it does give
Yeah.
me that kind of like pseudo sense of someone being there or like interacting with people at the same time also giving me my own space. Like
Of
there's that
course.
there's that
Yeah.
like barrier for me that works pretty well. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you definitely
tough.
have to take a break when you're streaming full time, because even
No
me streaming
breaks.
for like 5 hours, it takes a toll on me. It's because you're kind of putting on a show in a way. You're putting yourself out there and you're entertaining people. So it does take a toll. You definitely have to take a break for yourself.
Yeah, I've started to allow myself to take a break like every 45 minutes to an hour. I'll just like step away for a couple minutes, just like sit on the floor and stretch and just like
Yeah.
just give myself a moment to like kind of not get caught up in everything that's going on. Yeah,
Good.
it's tough. I don't know. It's interesting. I've like very much adjusted the way I approach streaming like every year for the last 6 years, and it's just I look back at it and I'm like, wow, this has become an interesting. This has become a very interesting thing for me. Like when I first started streaming, I was streaming like 18 hours a day every day.
Oh my god. How do you do that? Like, you and Mal, like, you guys stream forever sometimes, like, how? Like, I would die. I would literally just plop down and pass out. I don't know how you guys do it. Prop to you, really, for doing that, because I've seen you do, like, the 24-hour streams, like, multiple times, and it's just insane. Amazing. The stamina that you have is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what got me through it because back then, like my longest stream was like 30 and a half hours. And nowadays, like I struggle after like an hour and a half. I'm just like, dude, I'm tired. And then I break through the first win and then I'm like, okay, 8 hours. And then I break through that win. I'm like, okay, 12 hours. But now like I can't even I think about it. I'm like, how did I possibly do 30 hours back then?
It's
Or
because
like,
you were younger. So welcome to being old, because now I feel tired after an hour of streaming too.
I know. God, we're getting old. It's just happening.
Okay, I don't know if you don't have to answer, but have you hit your 30s yet?
No.
Oh man. Ooh, just wait.
I'm 1995, so I'm 25. I'm 25.
Oh wow, you have 5 years. Oh, you're so young. Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
All the Zoomers in my chat, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm turning 20 next year." I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so old."
No. Okay, I look at you and I'm like, you're so young. I'm so old.
It's like every time you look at someone who's like 2 or 3 years younger, you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so old." It's like the further time passes on, the more that 1 year gap makes such a difference when you're just like talking about it, even just as a joke. But it's funny. It's funny because my sister's like, "Oh, you're so old." I'm like, "Fuck you." every time she says it, I'm like, "Fuck you."
My sister tells me the same thing. My sister's actually your age, so we have like a almost 11-year gap between the two of us, and as you can imagine, it's a very interesting relationship.
Yeah. My sister and I only have 6 years, so it's not as big of a gap, but definitely bigger than a lot of people that I know. I don't think there's that many people who have the big gap unless it's like multiple kids.
Yeah. I kind of wish like I had a sibling in between my sister and I, because then it would be a little bit better to even all us out. But man, having an 11-year gap or almost 11-year gap with a sibling is very weird, because you have this, at least with my sister and I, we have this weird like sibling yet parent like dynamic between the two of us, because there were times when I was younger, we'd be like, "Oh my God, is that your dog?" I was like, "What, do you think I had a child at 10? Like, come on now," you know? But there's times when my sister's like, "Stop telling me what to do. You're not my mom." You know, I guess it happens.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, like for me and my sister, it's like because we had the 6 year gap, we were never in school together or anything. So like, up until she turned like 18 and started going to university, we just like weren't really friends at all. But then like she turned 18, she's like, "I get it. All those things you told me, all that advice, relevant. All of it was relevant." And I'm like, yes.
I heard that too. Yeah, relevant. My sister told me similar things. It's like, yeah, you were right about some things, but I still hate you sometimes. I'm like, okay, that's fine. As long as you tell me I have the last word on something, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. My sister and I have a pretty relaxed relationship. She's pretty low maintenance, so it's pretty easy. You know, I do my own stuff, and it's just like as long as she respects that like my work is my work stuff.
Yeah,
it's fine. You know, she never really bothers me or like does anything. Yeah, I don't know. We have a pretty easygoing relationship, and it works well.
That's good. I'm glad to hear. It's nice to know when siblings aren't completely hating each other.
Yeah, she likes to take advantage of the, "Hey, it's 5 in the morning. I know you're awake. We want to pick me up from like my friend's house or like this bar." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." I guess so.
Why not?
Why not? I'm awake anyways. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just sitting here like sorting Pokemon cards. Might as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to know. I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to or care to hear about, you know, like anxiety, depression, etc. But I think that for the people who do want to like be able to normalize it and, you know, see like other people also feel the same thing, I think it's good. Obviously, you know, before I like to throw up a little like, "Hey guys, trigger warning. There's, you know, discussion about anxiety, depression, etc." Give people a couple minutes, like if you want to skip past it or like whatever. But no, I do think it's really important to have that kind of content. I think it's important to be open about it. Obviously, nobody has to be open about it. I'm pretty open about my own kind of stuff, so I do appreciate that you kind of wanted to bring that up as well. Just heard what I
Yeah,
said to people. Everyone deals with it. It's not just,
I
everyone deals
agree.
with burnout. Everyone deals with depression, anxiety. Everyone deals with something, right? Nobody
Yeah,
deals with nothing.
yeah. And I love the fact that you said that we should try to normalize it. Like, obviously, not everyone's gonna want to, not everyone has to, but I went through like for a long time where I didn't want to tell people because if I felt that if I did, there was something wrong with me. Like I was less than other people. I was not good enough. But I think after, having to go through therapy or like talking to other people, and like now that more people are coming forward with it, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'm not the only one. It's okay to admit that you have this. Like, it's not something that's going to stop me from doing things in life or that's limiting me from doing things in life. But it's good to at least acknowledge that, okay, this is happening. It's fine. Like it's going to eventually go away after a little bit because it doesn't always go away. Or what I'm trying to say is it doesn't go away forever, but you can at least try to control it. So that's what I
Mhm.
mean when I say it's going to go away because like the episodes don't last forever. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, and you just have to know how to control it. At least that's what I'm dealing with right now, where it's like I have to know how to control when I'm about to fall into like an episode of anything. And for people who may be going through the same thing, like just know you're not alone. Like we're all going through something, and there's always going to be somebody out there to help you. Like don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it, because there's definitely people out there who are willing to help, and nobody's gonna look at you and think like, oh my god, you're a piece of crap person for like going through this. It's not like that. There's people out there who are willing to help you if you
Yeah, of
say
course,
something.
of course. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of people are afraid because they have reached out before, and people are like, I don't really want to talk about this. I think
Yeah.
a piece of advice I want to give to everybody, and I think this is something I learned from a couple of friends of mine, is that it's important to ask, right? I mean, consent is everything.
Mhm.
So it could be something as simple as, are you in a good enough headspace? Can we talk about something kind of heavy? Or
Yeah.
like, hey, are you available to talk about something that's really like really
Mhm.
heavy or like really emotional for me? It's like, hey, are you comfortable talking about blank, right? It doesn't have to be like drop the bomb, like I have depression, I need your help. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, are you available to talk with me about this? If somebody's available and they want to give that, they can. But not everybody's available for that. So instead of kind of just like
Mhm.
dropping it on them, you ask, right?
Do it
It
easy.
gives that
Yeah.
shared sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
right? And it gives
Mhm.
accountability on both sides.
Exactly. That
Because
is the perfect way to approach it.
it's unfair to just expect someone to be available, but it's also
Mhm.
unfair to like never give yourself the opportunity to talk to somebody, right? So
Exactly.
it's as simple as just asking, you know. Consent
Exactly. I
never
couldn't have
changes.
said better my word. Yeah, that's so true. I couldn't have said better myself because it's true. Sometimes people like we also have to think of it in the position of the other person who's listening to you. Like, are they going through something? Are they going to be ready to handle what you're throwing at them? So it's always good to ask, like what Tyler said, like consent and not just drop all of these bombs at the same time because you don't know how they're going to react, and then you're going to be expecting something and you're going to also let yourself down in a way, and you're setting yourself up for failure at that point if you really want to talk to somebody about this. Like it's happened to me before too, where I've on my best friend, even like before when I first told her that I was going through something, I didn't even say anything to her like, hey girl, I'm going through a really bad time, I really need to. I was like boom 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 boom, just dropped all the bombs on her. She was like, whoa, listen here, I'm also going through my own stuff right now, so maybe you should have done it a little bit different, but I totally understand what you're going through. Maybe we can talk about it later, but right now it just wasn't the best moment. So,
Hmm.
Tyler, like you literally hit it right on the bullseye.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose a friendship over that. You don't want to like
Mhm.
you don't want to push someone over the edge. You don't want to push yourself into
Yeah,
a place where you feel like that person's not actually there for you because they are. Just they
exactly.
it's unrealistic to expect someone to always be there for you at any given time.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really enjoying this talk with
I
you.
know, right? It's really unique because people come into this and they're like, I'm nervous or like I don't know what's gonna happen, and then we kind of just talk and we just start talking, and it's very natural, right? And that's kind of the
Yeah.
approach I wanted to make with it. I don't want to be like, this is the topic, next topic, third topic, secret question. I want it to be like a hangout moment where like we hang out for like an hour and a half, and people get to experience what it's like to be around us when we're
Mhm.
not working or we're not, constricted by certain things, right? Like there's certain things we don't talk about on stream or on you know, on official channels and stuff, because it's not that it's like taboo. It's more that it's like for the general populace, it's better to avoid certain kinds of sensitive topics, right? On
Yeah.
my channel, I talk about just about anything. I don't fucking care what anyone says, right? My channel is very open. You know, if you want to discuss things, you want to talk about things, I'm willing to talk about anything on my channel except for politics, I think.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely don't.
sports hasn't
Same.
really become an issue yet, but like that's because most of us don't care about sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I have a Discord channel for that. Like you can go in there, you can discuss, but you know, those channels have strict rules. It's like, you know, no personal attacks, none of this, etc. And like there are no warnings. Like if you break the rule, you're like if you break the rule to a certain degree, I will just remove you from those channels, right?
Good.
And it's just as simple and straightforward as that, right? I want to build a community of people who are open to concepts and discussion, but also people who are respectful of each other.
Of course, that's the best way to be. I love that.
Yeah, I'm glad
I really
you're
love
enjoying it. I'm always nervous
Yeah.
that like I'm gonna do one of these and the guest is gonna be like, "Wow, that sucked," and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, well, shit. I guess no more interviews."
No, these have been great, and I watched the other episodes too, and like they're going really well. I'm very happy that you started doing this.
I'm
Honestly.
glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. A lot of people have been like, "Hey, you know, can you bring on like some community members? Can you talk to like these huge streamers?" I'm like, "Guys, first of all, these huge streamers don't even know who I am." Um, and then for the community members ones, like I'd love to do some with community members, but I'm kind of trying to get like you have to understand there's a certain level of pressure and expectation from me as well, and I don't want to pull in a community member and not be
Mhm.
like ready for that, right?
Of course.
With pulling in like you guys, a lot of the content creators or just people that I've known for a really long time, like a lot of us have personal relationships outside of like just knowing each other through streaming or knowing
Yeah.
each other through YouTube or at Com2us. Like we've been friends for like 4 or 5 years, you know, all these different things. So it's easier for me. A lot of the time people don't kind of see that, but it will come. I promise it will come.
Yeah.
Community
Awesome.
members on the interviews will be a thing. Hopefully some bigger creators will be a thing. Also, some people that may not necessarily still play Summoners War or just other like possibly big creators might just come on the platform. I would be interested in hearing from those people. My two most top interested people that I'd like to have a chance to talk with is YDCB and Tectone. Both
Oh.
previous Summoners War players, but both still creating amazing content and extremely successful with what they're at. But obviously, those are difficult strings to pull. So I'll have to go around and see what I can do.
And
But
just like that, this is how you start your hosting career.
yeah, I mean that was actually the idea behind this. The idea behind this was that I wanted to have kind of a reel, but to make it like my own personalized content. Right? It's less so work and it's more so fun.
Well, you're doing a great job. I mean, honestly, okay, but this is just me, so it's not like a you thing. I was nervous because I get nervous anytime I do any type of event. That's just my personality. So I was nervous, and like that's why you probably heard me in the beginning a little bit quiet and shy. But like you made it very easy for me to just feel super just comfortable and like just wanting to talk. So I think you're doing a great job. I think like you do have a future in event hosting or like, you know, this type of hosting like podcasting. So yeah, I'm very, very happy for you and I'm looking forward to
I'm
seeing
glad that you opened
where all
up and
this
feel
goes.
comfortable. I'm glad. My mom used to teach me a lot of marketing stuff. So she used to tell me things like,
Oh,
you know, when you talk to people, you know, business relationships and stuff, it's important to get to know something about them and remember it. Whether you write it down or you don't write it down, as long as you remember it, you can always bring it up in the future and it becomes more personable. And so I started applying that to all of my life, right? Because I really like people and I like when people are comfortable being around me or talking to me. So I've always applied the concept of trying to remember something about everybody that is valuable to me, because then it's genuine, right? Because if it's not a piece of information that I care about, then it doesn't come off as genuine, right? It comes off as discourteous almost.
Yeah,
it's like you bring up this memory and it's like it had nothing to do with you, so why did you bring it up, right?
Yeah. I agree. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. It's helped me a lot with making people feel more comfortable, whether that's in stream or on the interview series. It's just kind of something I wish more people would pick up. I think it's a good tip for anyone who's trying to get into that kind of industry. It's good for streaming. It's good for
It
Maybe
is.
less so for YouTube. It's good for live streaming content. It's good for in-person events. It's good for online events. It's good for anywhere where
Yeah,
you are interacting with people in a more immediate sense.
exactly. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've gone through a lot. I'm actually
Yeah.
surprised. It's been an hour. We've actually been talking for an hour. Crazy,
What?
right? It
That
time
is
time
crazy.
flies. Time flies when you're on these. But I do wanna move on to the next kind of like segment of the interview
Okay.
series. So, do you have your secret question you want to ask me? Anything? I
I
clearly have no
do.
idea what this question is, so I'd like to. I'm interested and I'm ready.
I do. I have my question ready, and some of it we kind of brought up, but I want you to go further into it. So you started streaming around the time when Twitch was kind of still becoming a thing. Like I think you started your account like in 2014 and you started streaming in 2015, right?
Mhm.
So I want to know like what made you want to do it? Like what thought went through your head and said, "Okay, I'm going to play video games on the internet and hope people watch me." Cuz like at the time like that was not something that was really happening. People were just starting the whole YouTube thing, like YouTube was blowing up. So I want to know like your thought process. Like I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna be it for me. Like I love doing this.
Okay, I'm gonna break it into three parts. The first part
Okay.
is the prehistoric era, which is like the what got me to that point. The
Yeah.
next part is why I started streaming, and then the third part will be when I decided to go full time and why. Okay.
Okay.
So also a slight trigger warning on this one as well, just because of like the nature of the content. When I first started streaming, it was because I got an upper respiratory illness, and I was bedridden for about a year. I couldn't go to school, I couldn't work,
Oh my god.
and at about the 5-month period, I started to get extremely lonely, extremely depressed. To the point where I would say there were a couple of suicidal ideations at the time because I couldn't leave my room. Basically, I didn't have the energy to walk around my house for more than a couple minutes.
Mhm.
I was so physically exhausted all the time I could barely walk to my bathroom. Showering was a huge pain. I basically sat like on the floor of my shower to like clean my body and stuff. It was just
Wow.
terrible because I was so physically exhausted all the time,
Mhm.
and the lack of being able to do anything about it or to even understand like what I had, because I didn't know what I had. I'd been to the doctors 5 times. I'd done like 7 sets of blood tests, multiple X-rays, and a bunch of ultrasounds. Like
Mhm.
I never got to know what I had, and that still kind of like is a back thought to me, even like 5 or 6 years later. But I got so lonely, and I started asking my friends like, what do you guys do in your free time? Like, what do you do? And they were like, oh, we just watch Twitch. Like, we've been watching our favorite like Dota streamers. I was like, oh shit, like I love Dota. I was a pretty good Dota player. I loved playing Dota, and I used to
Yeah.
watch on like YouTube, because we used to watch like the world, or the TI. We used to watch TI, right? The international. And they're like, yeah, some of the like best players like stream on Twitch. So I started watching Twitch. And I actually never watched a Dota streamer for that first year, but that was besides the point. I went on Twitch, went on the homepage, found this random streamer. I think her name was Little Miss Piss. Um, but she was just this like vulgar, cool punk rocker chick, and she didn't stream with the camera. Well, she streamed with the cam sometimes, but she
Mhm.
was playing Mortal Kombat, I think, at the time, and I was like, this is fucking cool.
Nice.
And so I went in, and then like I just started talking with her and her community, and I became like really good friends with everyone, like really, really good friends with everyone. My first ever subscriber, outside of Brendan, because he
Wow.
cheated. Brendan cheated on that. It's not fair. Diablo was my first subscriber, but he did it before I started. He did it when I was offline streaming, so it doesn't count.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Radiocom1G is actually probably my longest Twitch friend, and is a day one sub. He's been to my stream.
Wow.
He's been to my stream a lot. He's posted something in my Discord every single day since I created it.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. But he
Wow.
was from that community,
Yeah.
Radiocom. We met a lot of people. Some people, stopped using Twitch. Some people passed away. Some people quit streaming, etc. Right? There's all these different parts of that life.
Mhm.
But I started watching some other streamers. I started playing Counter-Strike a lot. I met two Counter-Strike streamers. One of them was Easy TV. He occasionally streams. He's from Auckland in New Zealand. And another girl named Nestle01.
Mhm.
Vanessa, she also streamed a lot. She quit streaming a couple years ago to start working at an esports org, and now she's kind of
Nice.
just doing other stuff with life. But I used to play sub games with them, right? I subscribed to them. I used to play sub games in Counter-Strike, and when I would talk on stream, both of them would say the same thing to me. They would say, You have a radio voice. You should try
You
streaming.
do?
I was like, you
You
guys are
really
just
do.
being nice to me because I'm subscribed to you. You're
They
so
are
funny.
speaking the truth.
And then Easy called me one night in Discord. He's like, bro, just fucking do it. I was like, what do you mean just do it? He's just like, just turn on the stream and try it. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I streamed Fallout New Vegas for the first time because I was in love with the game. And a ton of people from both of their communities watched my stream. And the first stream I ever did, I had like 100 viewers. And I was like,
Wow, nice.
this is wild. Like this is like people were chatting, having a good time. Like I didn't have a cam. I didn't have like a good microphone. I didn't have alerts. I didn't have a donation. I didn't have anything. I was just playing the game. And I was like, this is so
amazing.
cool. This is so cool. It's the coolest thing ever. And
That's
that was kind of
awesome.
how I got into streaming.
Wow, very
Yeah.
cool.
And so it went from Fallout. I did a little period of like a couple games here and there. I played some H1Z1 and stuff. And then I did art. I actually did art. I used to draw. One second, let me see if I can
What? Yes, show your art. I had no idea that you actually drew.
I found it.
Yes.
Okay, so I got into art. I watched a lot of art streamers because I thought art streamers were the coolest thing in the world. And I started doing like graphic stuff. So I really loved MapleStory. It's like my favorite game of all time. But I basically just looked at like the I would look at the still from the game and I would just like replicate it completely, just copy it start to finish, like not tracing it, but like looking at it and just trying to replicate it.
You drew that? Wow, you're super talented.
So like I love anime. I've always been a really big anime person. So like I just love anime, you know? So I would always just try to do stuff. So I did like Haku.
You are so good.
Yeah, I kind of lost this talent though. I have given up on drawing.
I was just gonna ask, did you do your own emotes? Because
no, I wish I did my own emotes. That would be a hell of a new talent. Shout out to my artist. If you guys are ever wondering about my emotes, !artist in my Twitch chat. But like, yeah, I used to just love drawing. It was like the most peaceful and enjoyable thing for me. I did it a ton.
When was the last time you actually drew anything?
The day I got back from New York. I had a really bad depressive episode that day that I got back, actually. So I couldn't sleep, and I ended up just drawing on stream super late at night. Wow. I wonder if I still have that one. That was the last thing I ever drew. I don't think I have it.
You should definitely continue drawing. You're super talented.
It's fun. It's just a little thing that I haven't really talked about it a lot. It's just been a long time. But yeah, I got into art, loved that, and then Summoner's War. So
how did that happen?
One day, I had just come back from a friend's house, like Christmas party or something, and they were talking about how they played Summoner's War, and I was like, "Oh, dude, like I know that game." So I reinstalled it, and then I talked about it on stream one time, and my friend Ooga Booga was like, "Wait, you play Summoner's War?" And he was from Nestle's community back then, and he's like, "Dude, you should join our Discord. Like, we play Summoner's War now." And that's how I met Ooga, and then Panda, and Panda worked at Twitch, so it was like meeting just this whole network of people almost immediately. And then Panda introduced me to Bomber, and I just started watching Bomber all the time. And I would sit in his Discord and hang out with him and Scat and everyone, and we would play, and Claytano too. We would play just a ton of League and a lot of Summoner's War. And that was kind of my like delve into Summoner's War. So that was around like early December, I think, of 2015. Early December. And I started streaming a lot of Summoner's War starting January, because I created my Discord January 5th, I think, of 2016.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was like 14 hours of Giants every day, just on stream, chilling, doing whatever. You know, it's the good times.
14 hours just farming. Like, how do you, like, what do you do in those streams really for 14 hours when you're just farming? You just talk to people?
I used to have people in my Discord just pop in. Like, I don't know if you remember Naz, Backseat Love.
I think so.
He used to be pretty important in YDCB's community. But yeah, he was a good friend of mine. Like, even these days we still talk, but he used to sit in Discord with me all the time. We used to talk for hours and hours and hours on stream, and we would just hang out. You know, they were good times.
Awesome.
But what got me into full time? I tried to go back to school. Went back to school for a semester. Did okay.
Hmm.
Hated it. Loved learning Japanese. Hated every other aspect of going back to school. Nobody I knew was there. Like was really in any place where I could spend time with them anymore. Right. I'd lost basically all my friends. Making new friends was a pain. Right.
Yeah, I can
It's
imagine.
lost all my friends that were made out of convenience. Tried to work again. Hated the corporate culture. Decided that I don't want to work in an industry where I'm told to hurry up and wait. I don't want to work in an industry where I'm not encouraged to constantly learn and innovate.
Mhm.
I'm not interested in an industry where you are constantly told not to improve something.
Yeah.
It's like that's not your job. It's like no, that's my like purpose as a human being
Yeah, exactly.
is to do those kinds of things. So like having that inner clash where I'm in a position where I'm told like I can't be constantly doing things that disrupt the system. It's like I'm trying to innovate the system for you so it's better so that we can run this company more effectively. Even like little things like
Yeah.
a lot of the accounting stuff. It's like I created better spreadsheets for all of the accounting, including all of the
Hmm.
features on it, right? And they never used it. I did a whole presentation on it. A lot of
Don't
people
you hate
loved it. A lot of
that?
people in the engineering side loved it. And one of the VPs loved it. And it's just like there are certain people in the company who were like, I don't want somebody at that level trying to be that ambitious. And it's like, wow, I hate corporate culture
Yeah.
a lot. You know?
Oh my God. I think you and I had a similar experience in terms of corporate because that's kind of like what made me want to get a new job. Like I said to myself, and I ended up in a corporate setting, but I made an exception because when I left my last job, it was similar stance where it was like somebody I was lower rank and like I was trying to, move my way up. I was trying to learn. Similar thing. I put it forth ideas, but then my manager got a little bit salty about it. He's like, I don't yeah, we can't have people like that in that level like doing stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna take this. I'm just gonna go
Oh, good
somewhere
for
else.
you.
And then
Good
I
for you.
yeah.
Fuck that guy.
And I said to myself, I don't ever want to work in corporate setting again unless it's a company that actually values, people wanting to move up, values people's ideas and learning basically what you're saying. And that's how I ended up where I am now. Cause like it fits, like it's a good company. Like I like where I am. I like what I do. But if it wasn't like that, I guarantee I wouldn't be working where I am right now because I don't like corporate settings at all. I think they're the worst, and I've had so many bad experiences in corporate and it's similar reasons. It's like they don't want you to learn; they just want to kind of keep you, with your head down, doing what they tell you to do, and
Sean and
that's
I had
it.
the same conversation last week. Yeah, it's rough. It really is rough.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was kind of what pushed me towards wanting to do it full time. I was like, look, I'm
For
making I'm
you.
making enough money. Like obviously I still live at home, right? I live at home, so the
Hmm.
advantage of not having to
Of
pay that rent.
course.
But I do help
Yeah,
my parents a lot. I help my sister. I help my grandparents a lot. So there's a
that's
pretty good trade off on both sides. I give a lot of my time to live at home, and they're okay with that. We all live in harmony very well.
mhm.
Um,
That's
but
nice
I
though that
was
you get to live with your family. Sometimes I wish I was still
sometimes it's
living at
nice.
home too.
Sometimes it's nice. I actually didn't mind living with my friends during COVID. Totally different environment, totally different feel, but I didn't mind it. I felt a lot more responsible, right?
Do you
Um,
feel that it made you get closer with your friends because you were living through COVID?
yeah,
Because I've heard nightmare stories of friends like literally not being friends anymore after living together through COVID.
yeah. So I would say we got a lot closer, and I think we got a lot better understandings of each other.
That's
And
good.
I mean, the only thing really is just like now that I'm home, I need to I need to be busy with things. So it kind of
Yeah.
clashes. Like I can't spend as much time with them because I'm already committing myself to so many things, right?
Mhm.
Like I basically run two businesses now. I do Pokemon breaks and I do streaming. Right. The second
Yeah.
business requires a lot of off stream stuff. There's a lot of like researching, purchasing, packaging,
Mhm.
shipping, invoicing, all that stuff. And then with
Yeah.
streaming, it's like, okay, streaming, planning, making sure everything works well, equipment, maintenance, emails, sponsors, just a lot
Of
of
course.
stuff. Just a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a lot. I don't think people sometimes realize how much actually goes into streaming. It's literally like it's a full-time job. Even if you're not full-time, like working on your stream, trying to make it better, all of these little details that go into it takes time. And there's a lot of time that goes into it. So I really commend you and like everyone else who does streaming full time because it's a huge commitment. Huge commitment.
Yeah, it is
Um,
for sure.
what were your parents' reaction when you were like, "Hey guys, I'm just going to stream for a living," especially with, the older generations thinking like, "Oh, that's nothing. That's just games. You're not going to make any money from that."
So I can go again with two. So I can talk about when I
Okay.
first started streaming, and then I can talk about when I decided to go full time. So when I first started streaming, my parents were curious. They were like, "What is that? Why are you doing that? Why do people want to watch it?" Like they were just curious. They
Yeah.
wanted to know what it was and what the point was, right? And I was like,
Mhm.
"I just play video games. It's cool." And I was like, you know, people watch. They give me money. They like do this stuff. And they're like, "Wow, that's kind of cool." And then over the course of like 2 years, they were always concerned with money, right? It's just like, are you making enough money? Like, are you doing okay? Like, are you gonna be able to pay your student loans? It's like, yeah, I'm doing enough to do all these things. And then when I went full time, the first question my dad said was, all right, what's your business plan? Show me the business plan. So I made an entire
Oh.
business plan for a whole year.
What?
And
That's
I mapped
awesome.
out when I was going to do events, how much money I was estimating from different things.
Mhm.
These are the overhead rooms for sponsors. This is room for this and that. And he was like, all right, this checks out. I mean, like, obviously there was a lot more discussion than just like, he looked at it and he was like, good job, son, you're good. And like, we looked through it and he really thought that it was a viable plan and it could work. And I think that is because like my mom did a lot of marketing. So she did marketing. She's a mechanical engineer that did marketing for natural gas,
Very
a lot of
cool.
storage stuff. And then my dad ran his own business for a long time. Actually, he did high-end office furniture. What he would do is he would design the space, and he was also the middleman for the high-end product. So he would get it to the sites and stuff like that. And then he no longer does that, but now he works on modular design housing. So what they do
Very
is instead of
cool.
building a house as a foundation,
Mhm.
they build the lot and they literally just like ship parts of a house there and assemble it instead. So it's no longer like foundation based building; it's assembly based building, right? It's factory design
Yeah.
housing. It's all smart home technology and such. It's really cool because a lot of the technology he gets into is stuff that like I'm super interested. Like, so I get to use like AR technology, VR technology. Like I get to use some really cool, like I get
That's
to
so
use Google
cool.
Glass, like stuff that like is not available to a lot of people publicly because it's like
Mhm.
part of their company tech. And I'm like, this is so cool. So cool. So he's always interested in like new tech that I'm doing, and I'm always interested in new tech he's doing. So like it's pretty cool. He's talking to me like my camera setup and my lighting. He's like, so like, do you still use your green screen? Like, why do I have all these things? But overall, my parents are extremely supportive. Both
That's
of them moved here
awesome.
when they
Very
were
good to
young.
hear.
My dad
Mhm.
is the fourth in six kids, all girls.
Oh, wow,
And
the only guy.
and my dad's dad passed away when he was young as well because of cancer. And so like my dad, like
Oh.
he like grew up and he was like a very compassionate person. He's a very compassionate
Yeah.
person. And my mom has two younger brothers and two younger sisters, so she's the oldest. But they grew up here, so they're very much North American.
Okay.
They're very much North American. Right? No
Very
accents or
cool.
anything. They still speak their languages quite well, but no accents or anything.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
What an
my parents are
interesting
extremely supportive. Extremely supportive.
That's so good to hear because not everyone gets to have that support or,
Mhm.
like, not everyone gets to have the opportunity to be able to pursue, the things that they actually wanna do. So, like, whenever I meet people that are actually following in the footsteps that they actually wanted to go into, like, their dream job or, like, something that they're really passionate about, it's like, you really made it. Like, you're out there doing your thing, and I commend you for it. I'm super happy for you because not everyone gets that opportunity. Not everyone, like, wants to follow in their footsteps for whatever reason. So, really amazing. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's unique. I always tell people. Actually, I guess one more thing I want to talk about before I go into your secret question, but one more story time. Uh, when my sister was still in high school, I used to go back to the school and do a career week where I would talk about what I do and I would encourage people to chase their dreams. And I would tell people, there's nothing wrong with going to university. There's nothing wrong with going and trying to do whatever is, the cookie cutter mold for North America.
Mhm.
And, being cookie cutter isn't a bad thing, right? Safety is something a lot of people value.
Yeah.
But if you ever for a moment have a doubt that that's not what you want to do and you have something you want to chase, 2 years, try it. but make sure that you're ready. Make sure you looked into it. Make sure you have a supportive system that can help you get through it. And try it. Figure out what it is. Chase your dreams. And be ready that your dreams won't always like work out. Right?
Yeah.
I try to tell them like as realistically as it is. I'm like, if you want to chase your dreams, you might fail. And that's just how it is. But you will live the rest of your life knowing that you tried.
Exactly.
Instead of living the rest of your life thinking, what if?
Yeah, you don't want to have those what if moments in your life. And it's who was it that made that quote? It's like, you don't fail unless you don't try. It's something like that. You know what quote I'm talking about? I forgot who said it. I keep wanting to say
I know the gist of what you're saying, but yeah, it's basically like, why would you go the rest of your life living with regret instead of trying something, failing, and knowing that you gave it an honest effort, right?
Exactly.
You can only blame yourself if you never try.
Exactly. My God, I love these deep talks.
Yeah. We do this on stream every once in a while. We get into like a topic and we just kind of dive real deep into the philosophy of it all.
I love it. I love talks like this. Like when I talk with my friends, we tend to just do stuff like this when we talk about topics and we just get really deep about it.
That's good.
It's great.
Good. Okay, so my secret question for you, I'm kind of debating between. I had a couple in mind, but I'm not really sure which one I want to use now because like there's a lot of interesting topics.
All right, I'm ready.
So I might do 1.5 or 2, but the first kind of like surface level question I want to ask. You mentioned your bucket list. I want to know what are some cool things on your bucket list that you'd be willing to share and talk about.
Oh man. Okay. This is probably really far-fetched, but I'm going to try to make it happen. But I want to meet Celine Dion. She is my queen. I love her. She is the reason why I sing.
Celine Dion's incredible.
Yeah. So my dream, like that's probably number one on my bucket list, is to meet her and to sing with her. Even if it's like for 1 second, I just want to sing with her. That would make my dream come true. I could die after that and be like, okay, I live my life. It's all good. Goodbye. Celine Dion. She's just amazing. She's literally, like I said, the reason why I started singing.
She's incredible.
Yeah, she really is.
Absolutely incredible.
What about you?
Me? Bucket list?
Yeah.
I really thought about that. I don't really have like bucket list idea kind of things. It's more like I've learned to not. So I'm a very jaded person. I've learned not to have expectations for the future. I kind of just work. I kind of work week to week, month to month. Instead of looking forward to the future.
I mean, it's true. The future doesn't exist. All you have is now. So I get it.
The bucket list. I think the bucket list is one day I would like to. This is going to sound really weird. One day I'd like to be successful enough that I can quit everything and be a personal chef for somebody for like a year and just record it for YouTube. Nothing else.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Does it matter who it is? Because like I'm totally available to do that.
Ideally, I think I would like it to be some sort of like someone that's like pretty big in the content creation world. Mainly because not necessarily for clout, but because I want to kind of like experience what their life is like. And I feel like being their personal chef, you will see enough of the tidbits of their life to get a good understanding. I wouldn't necessarily want to be someone's PA because that would suck for me. It's not really my thing. But I would love the opportunity to kind of do something like that. I talk about it on stream sometimes and it's weird and people don't really understand it. But like if I was successful enough, like let's say I was making like, $250,000 a year or like $500,000 a year, where I could kind of just like take a break from streaming and like take a break from whatever my usual content was. Guys, I'm going to be someone's personal chef for a year and I'm going to vlog every day of it. And it's going to be 3 or 4 episodes a week and that's what we're going to do. I would do that because I think that would be sick.
If you ever happen to do it and it happens to be Celine Dion, you have to let me know.
Okay, for sure.
You have to call me.
I'll be like, all right. Look, I have a friend who needs a favor. Just 10 seconds of your time. 10 seconds of your time.
10 seconds, that's all we need.
You don't have to pay me for all of this week. Just give me 10 seconds of your time.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I think it would be fun. I think it would be
Yeah,
fun. You know,
that does
personal
sound
chef for
fun. I mean,
someone.
I see that you do a lot of cooking posts, so you definitely know how to cook. So that would be amazing for you to do.
I would need to improve a lot before I was ever someone's personal chef. I'm more of like a comfort food home cook kind of person. You know, a lot of different cuisines, but very much comfort food in every sense.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It helped a lot with the initial depression. It was like learning to do something and having tangible improvements and skills was nice.
Yeah, it keeps you motivated. It's super important to keep yourself busy or try to, because I know how hard it can be when you're going through mental breakdowns. Like, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to do anything. Like, the last thing you want to do is invest time into anything. But if you do find yourself with a little bit of energy to get out of bed, like, you can try to build up the energy to do something else, while you're getting out of bed.
Mhm.
It's a struggle, but you can do it because we've all been there. We can do it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last question. Last thing
Yeah.
before we wrap up. If you could learn one skill, not necessarily to perfect it, but you could be pretty
Okay.
good at it, what would it be right now? Your
Learn
one
one
thing.
skill. Oh my god.
It can't be a talent. It
Learn.
has to be a skill. It has to be something that you can train.
I want to do karate.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Any
Yeah.
particular reason why?
I watched Cobra Kai. I binged it, and I was like, I want to do that. That actually looks pretty cool. I want to have my own Mr. Miyagi. That'd be amazing. Like, teaching me life skills and teaching me actual like karate skills and
Yeah.
on top of life skills. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, no, it was great
Um,
having you on here. An hour 20.
Thank you.
It's about the at first when I planned this out, like the idea was 30 to 45 minutes, and I've come to realize it's just not a possibility. Every episode is gonna be like an hour and a half. It's just how it is. It's just how it is.
Content.
There's just a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. And you're, like I said, you're easy to talk to. So
Thank you.
this is really fun, and I can see why they're going over 30 minutes or 45 minutes.
Well, if you ever want to do another one, let me know. If you have
Absolutely.
questions you want to talk about, it doesn't always have to be me like providing the topics. If you guys want to talk about things, like you kind of know how these episodes go now. So like if you have something you want to talk about and like you want to go over some topics, I would be happy to lead the discussion. We can just talk about whatever's on your mind at the time. Let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know if
I
you
would love
have
to come
if you
back.
have people you want to invite or anything. You just let them know to message me, etc.
Okay.
Have some cool people on the list. Still trying to get everyone like lined up, but trying to figure it out where I can. But yeah,
Okay, sounds good.
it's pretty
This was
simple.
amazing.
Yeah. If you guys need anything from us, I will have both of our channels below. Like, comment, subscribe, as Sean would say. Like, comment, subscribe. Again, I have reached out to a lot of people. We'll try our best. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be like, get YD, get Bagel, get so-and-so. It's like, I will try my best. Still tell me to do it in comments. So I check every single week and remind myself that I need to figure out a way to make it happen. Right. Yeah, overall, I'm very happy with this episode. It was a much different direction than the other ones. It was a lot less focused on the game and a lot more focused on kind of our jobs and the industry for it. So I hope people also enjoyed that. I hope you guys understand and feel like you actually have gained some experience, listening to us talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot last week's giveaway because I am a potato and I got super busy.
You forgot because I won. That's why. No,
I forgot to even make it. I forgot to even make it. So I'm going to put it in this video. It will be in a Gleam link below this one. I am so sorry, guys. Anything else you want to say? Any goodbyes, final words?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for
And
joining
like you
us.
said, I also hope people enjoy the video as well. And hopefully we'll get to do something else in the future. That'd be great.
All right. Well, that's us signing off. This was episode 4 of Experience Gained with Gigi. See you guys.
Guys.